What's up, Stuttgart? I don't usually lead with this, but I feel like I have to tonight. I also work for the military. This is a weird time for that, right? But I decided I'm only going to talk about the good things about it, right? Hear me out. Did you ever have a coworker that you wished would get sent away? Sometimes that happens for me. All right, I clocked a lot of Germans in this room. I don't think there's too many, though. That's good, because there are some jokes that I can't do when there's too many Germans. Because it gets them too excited. I used to do this joke about how I bought this special kind of insurance that covers you when you buy the wrong insurance. And every time I told that joke, the Germans would wait for me outside. Like, where do we buy this? I don't have time for that today. But I do need to have some Germans in the audience because it lets me indulge my true passion, which is speaking English with Germans. I love speaking English with Germans. It's so fun. The other day, I asked this German man if he spoke English, and he said potentially. That's someone who knows that verbal contracts are binding in Germany. And he wants to know what I'm going to do with this before we proceed. Let's see. I did not always know I was going to move to Germany, but when I look back, there were some clues. About 7 years ago, I was an extra in a movie, and the role that they gave me was German art director who doesn't like anything. I only had one line, and my line was, "This is garbage. This is all garbage." And now, of course, I know an American wrote that, because Germans have like 5 kinds of garbage. They would have been specific. I have been trying to learn German. It turns out that learning other languages is like riding a bicycle. Americans don't do that. Now, my friends in the States are super curious about what it's like. They're always asking me, what's it like in Germany? What's it like? I'm like, oh, here's what it's like. The other day, I did this show in Frankfurt, and at the end of the show, a German man came up to me and said, "I did not laugh even once, but I enjoyed it very much." Here's what it's like to live in Germany. The other day, I went to a movie, and this woman came in 15 minutes after the movie started, sat down next to me and said, "What happened before I got here?" I was surprised, so I said, "I'll tell you at the end." And we watched the movie, and at the end she was like, "Well?" That's what it's like to live in Germany. It's amazing. I have to say, though, that Germans do make amazing friends. Make some noise if you have German friends. My German friends are the best. I was out with my German friend the other day, and we were doing her favorite thing, which is walking. So we were walking, and we came to a road, and the do not walk sign was up. And some of you know where I'm going with this. Some people who have German friends know. I am American, so I just looked to see if there were cars, and there were no cars. So I stepped into the road. And my friend was like, "Ugh." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "In Germany, we do not cross against the light." And I'm a guest, so I stepped back onto the curb. And then my friend said, "But in Germany, when we start something, we finish it." Germans are incredible. Love it so much. I do a lot of shows in Germany, and I do a lot of shows like all around, and a lot of the time the lineup is like 5 German men and me on this line, 5 German male comedians. And German male comedians are they're very, very interesting. They spend a lot of time worrying if doing normal stuff might be making them gay. Like they're considering, like, is having a pet gay? They're thinking about this. The other day I was on the show, and one of the other comedians came up to me and he was like, "Erin, is packing your lunch gay?" I'm like, "I don't know. Is your lunch a dick?" And then I'm on this other show. It's a completely different guy. And he's like, Erin, I have this really good idea for like a premise. I've been working on it. You know, can we talk about it? You can help me work out a punchline. I'm like, sure, what it is? He's like, oh my God, this is such an amazing premise. He's like, here's the premise. A dude has a gun to my head, and I either have to suck his dick or I have to eat a pizza that has pineapple on it. Like, oh, amazing. Amazing premise. It's like, I am gonna have to say you should pick the one with less crust. Or more cheese. German comedians also worry a lot about getting canceled. Y'all know about getting canceled. You've heard of this, right? And they're worried about getting canceled. And I was like, first of all, for you to be canceled, someone would have to know who you are. And secondly, have you ever tried to cancel anything in Germany? It takes 12 weeks in a fax machine. No one is doing that for you. Let's see, so it was my birthday recently. You don't have to clap for that, I got some shitty gifts. I got a bunch of candles because I'm a middle-aged woman. I feel like if you're gonna give me a gift that I burn up, it should probably be drugs. Or at least creme brulee. I also got a bunch of journals. Has anyone else in here been gifted a journal? Some more middle-aged women here. Yeah, in the back, yep, you know what I'm talking about. A journal is an empty book that you have to write by yourself. That's like saying I got you a massage, but it's your own hands. Just keep rubbing. No, I asked for a crazy American cake because the stupidest cakes in the world come from America, right? Like every time there's some bizarre ass cake, it's definitely an American who thought that up. And I could not tell an American cake joke without the most famous American cake, which is of course the gender reveal cake, right? Y'all know what this is? I'll explain it. Someone's pregnant, you have a cake, you cut the cake, and if it's pink, then it's this, and if it's blue, then it's that, and that's some bullshit, and we need to get rid of it. But I do strongly support the idea of giving test results by cake. We need to do that more, and we need to do that at the sexually transmitted disease clinic. When you come back for your results, you should be given a cake. And if you cut that cake and it's green, that's gonorrhea. And if you are not allowed to throw that cake away, then it's herpes. Yeah, so I've been doing some shows in some really cool places recently. I recently did some shows in Albania. Yeah, has anybody been to Albania?
Yeah.
Just that guy.
No, back.
2 or 3 of you. It's awesome, right? Yeah. It's such a good time in Albania. At the request of absolutely no one, I went to Albania to do some English comedy. But it was an amazing trip. I went with a friend of mine, and we landed in Tirana, and then we were going to take the bus to our first show. So we go to the bus terminal in Tirana, Albania. And before we get on the bus, I realized that I have to use the toilets. I'm like, okay, I'm going to find the bus station toilets in Albania. Go to the bathroom, and it's one of those setups that most of us in Europe are familiar with, where there's a guy sitting outside, he has a little basket, and you put money in his basket, and he gives you toilet paper, right? Like, this is a normal thing that we do here. So I go to put money in, but I don't have any Albanian money yet, I just have euros. So I put 2 euros in the basket, and let me tell you that in the bus station bathroom in Albania, 2 euros gets you the white glove treatment. This man puts down all of his stuff and he takes me into the bathroom. There are already a lot of people in the bathroom, but I am the only one who has a guide. He shows me to the best stall, and he makes the person who's in there get out. And I go in and I'm like, thank you. And he does not leave. And I am like, my goodness, if I had given this man 4 euros, he would have held me over the toilet like a baby. I got home and I was telling my son this story, and my son was like, Mama, that was just a pervert. You're not wrong. So yeah, I do a lot of shows all around Europe. I do a lot of shows in Luxembourg. Anybody been to Luxembourg? I love Luxembourg because I find it refreshing when rich people are ugly. It's a good time. But I actually took my very favorite comedy trip recently, and believe it or not, it was on a FlixBus. I know, it's difficult to believe, but when I got on, it was my favorite ride ever because I was sitting next to a nun. I did not know that nuns rode the FlixBus. But actually, when you think about it, it makes sense, right? Because nuns have rejected worldly comforts, and nothing says rejecting comfort like riding the FlixBus, right? So we're sitting together in the bus, and she's texting, and I'm reading her text over her shoulder. And at the end of every text, she puts prayer hands. I'm like, she's working from home. It was my favorite thing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see it in this light, but I dye my hair. Can you see this? Yeah. And back in the day when you dyed your hair, there was always like some gross man who was like, do the curtains match the carpet? Right? People would ask this, and it's super disgusting, right? And people don't really say that anymore, but I don't think it's because like everybody like got their eyes open to that. I think it's actually just because no one has carpet. People just have hardwood floors these days. Thank you so much. You guys have been incredible.